All right, guys, so we brought in the big guns. You saw me last time with the small little brush cutter. I'll do a little clip of me zipping around with the brush cutter here. But you can see that thing was doing pretty good. It cut a decent amount down, but we're gonna step it up a notch. And we got a big old skid steer. And this old thing is gonna do some work down there. So actually, let me show you out in the field real quick here. So I was able to snag a cat brush cutter here, and I actually got this thing from auction. So you can see it there. It is a 60-inch. I wish I got the 62-inch because the excuse me, the skid steer is massive. But got this at the auction. Turns out the hydraulic pump was bad on it, so had to replace that. I'll include a quick little blurb of me kind of fixing that. So that all looks fine, and then we get to here, and this is where our issue comes in. So all of these pieces, I'll put a picture on the screen of exactly what this is supposed to look like, but basically a piece that came out of there. So yeah, he saw me fix that up. I'll have a separate video, I think, to show all the issues that we had with that. So, but anyway, let's go back to the cat. It is a 287B cat, has the 4-cylinder turbo in it, and this thing is a absolute monster. I'm gonna cut to us picking this thing up.
I think he's good.
Picked it up in the rain, and it is a monster of a unit here. Tracks are clearly shot on it. I'll go over and show you this one. Absolutely annihilated. All of the lugs, a lot of them have been replaced with this Delron. You can see they did a ton of them, and each one of these are like 20, 30 bucks. So those wear out on them. You can see on this side where they are absolutely gone. Almost nothing left. So we got some new tracks for it here, and me and Fowler are working on getting it on this side. So we got it lifted up here. We got 2 stumps under there holding her up, and tomorrow we'll come out here, start working on this thing. Pretty cool that they already replaced it all with aluminum rollers. So that's a nice upgrade that's already there. We're gonna get the track changed out, and then we'll be able to bring this whole unit over to the property and do some work with it. All right, guys, so I got this side jacked up. I cut up some piece of telephone pole to put underneath there to hold this thing up instead of jack stands. Got this side all on, and let me tell you, this is not easy to do at all. That is extremely hard. So let's go over the process real quick, and then we'll do a little time lapse of this. So in here you have your tensioner, which I took out already. It's just 2 little pins. Pop the pins out and pull the tensioner out. That's what pulls this whole sled here back and forth with your drive motor on it. You got a bolt here with a nut on the back. There's another one on the other side. A bolt here and a bolt here. Basically, you'll take these off, and then you'll slide this whole unit forward. There's a little spot here where you'll put a bolt in right there. You'll swing this whole thing out. That'll allow the track to drop. Then you'll be able to pull the track off, which I say just pull it off, which is not easy getting this off because it's still tight. You got to get it around all those lugs that are under there. So it would have been better if it was further back, or this was shifted forward where there's missing lugs. It'll be easier to get it off, but I wasn't able to drive it over these pieces of wood without having some lugs in there, otherwise it slips. So that's part of the reason why we're putting on new tracks in this thing. So I'm gonna set you guys up on the tripod, and we'll go ahead and try and get this thing off. All right, so lots of different strap action. 2 up there to pull it up either side. 1 to pull the carriage forward. You can see I dropped the bolt in there and then spun this thing out sideways. So now it still looks like it'd be easy, but this track weighs almost 200 pounds. So it's still gonna be tough to get it off either side. But that's the next step, is to pull this thing off. Track is off. Now we go in the reverse order and wrestle this heavy guy on there. So let's go back to the tripod and back to work. All right, so I ran out of daylight the other day when I was getting this back together, so you couldn't really see it, but got this swung back in. The adjuster bar is in there. You can see it right there. I'm using this giant wrench to extend it and slide it back. So there's actually 3 holes there, and it seems like the first one definitely doesn't make it tight enough. So we're gonna keep driving it back and get it to this second hole, which I spent time cleaning out since they were packed with dirt. And we'll get this thing set to the correct tension. Tracks are on. I went back and forth like 5 feet or so just to get up any slack out of the track, and now we'll go back to adjusting it. This one seems to be a bit looser than the other one, so we're going to tighten up this one a little bit more. All right, guys, so both tracks are on. The skid steer, got them tightened up, looking good. Bolts are in. I'm going to jump to a video of putting the brush cutter hydraulic pump together, since I just put a little quick video at the beginning. It was kind of a cool process the way that motor is made. So I'm going to throw that in here. All right, guys, figured I'd document this a little bit. If anybody has one of these older cat brush cutters, this is a BR160. Ended up getting this thing at auction. Took a gamble on it, and it looks like the hydraulic motor here is shot or not working correctly. So this is a Parker motor. Some of the cheaper ones are cheaper. I think there's Brush Wolf and a few others that look exactly the same. They end up using an Eaton pump and a couple other cheaper components to make theirs cheaper. This, I think, is like an $8,000 unit new. But struggling with this part number, if you can see in there, this is the last 4 of the serial number is BBFC. And that means that this particular unit has a internal bidirectional relief on it, which I believe, let me drop these down here, believe is basically this top hat here is your relief for it, so that if you smack into something with the brush cutter, it has a relief. Now, I don't know exactly how it works, but these pumps, I think, are over a year out to get anything like this. I'm struggling to find somebody to rebuild it, so I'm going to take it apart, have a look at it. I found the AAAB code for it, which basically signifies that it's the standard pump with no paint on it. So no paint doesn't matter, but it looks like it just has a regular top hat up to here. Each one of these are like a little sandwich. They all have seals in between them, and they kind of all come apart. So let's take this thing out and take a look inside. All right, so to continue with this, I took the pump apart, and basically I scribed a line when I originally took it all apart, just so I know exactly, could line it up going through. But if we take this thing apart, I can show you guys. Just trying to flip over everything and keep everything in a line. All right. So that all looks fine, and then we get to here. And this is where our issue comes in. So all of these pieces, I'll put a picture on the screen of exactly what this is supposed to look like, but basically a piece that came out of there. All of these should fit very snug, and this rotates around like this, creating pressure in between there, sucking in fluid here, pressuring it over here, and working as a motor. Now all of these should be perfect, and it should move very smoothly. So this thing is clearly very worn. Could just replace this, but it was, I think, like $170 just for this piece with all the new ones, same as the picture I just put on the screen. And then also this shaft, like I thought, snapped in half. So this is another, I think, $170. Then you need a seal kit for each one of these little seals. And for 200 bucks more, I was able to get a brand new pump. However, this one is just a regular pump. So let me undo this and we'll show you. All right, so this pump here is option code. See in here, it's just focus AAAB right there. And this one is BBFC. So this has option of a internal bidirectional relief valve, which is this piece. And if you look at the two pumps, basically this one is the same all from here all the way up. This is where all the damage was on that plane right there. This was the piece above it, and then that is our little star top one there, and then cap. So on this one, the regular one doesn't have the internal bidirectional relief valve, and this one does. So this is basically the option is a different cap on top. So was only able to find this pump. This is brand new. It was only 200 bucks more than the pieces to fix that one. So I'm going to take the cap off of this, swap it with that one, and then the only other option is this one wasn't painted. And that's what the AAB stands for. AAA, I believe, has paint. So should work. We'll have a brand new rest of the pump. I was worried that with this one, the bearings inside have all been well used based on how bad the internals looked. So I figured let's get a new one. We'll change out the valve and still have the relief in case we hit something with the brush cutter out there. And yeah, so let's get this swapped out to that one, and then we'll install it on the brush cutter and see how it works. All right, so I did put the motor back in the brush cart. I didn't video it, but it does work. It seems like it's working well. It does make a lot of noise on the shutdown, which I'm not sure if that's the bidirectional relief valve making noise as you shut it down. I think it is. Watching some other videos online, it seems like they also make a noise when you shut down the hydraulics on the brush cutter. But since this video is about coming up on probably 16 minutes or so, that is going to be it for the little skid steer video. Let me know what you think about the new skid steer. I'm excited to get it to work over on the piece of property, and I think that'll be the next time you see it in this little series here. So yeah, if you guys like this series, make sure you guys like and comment, and we'll see you in the next one over at the property for the new Barndo build.